And two big things happening that have never happened before. We are launching in a window that you would normally not launch in to make it to Mars. Normally you have this tight window that you have to launch in, but right now those satellites are going to go up and they're essentially going to go into this kind of coast phase until it's time for them to launch. And the second thing, for the first time ever, two different satellites are going to be orbiting Mars and learning more about the atmosphere, and that is going to get us into such a special place when it comes to what we understand about the Martian atmosphere, eventually sending, of course, more robots and eventually humans to Mars. So very exciting to have ESCAPADE and NASA be our customers today for NG-2. All right, so finally, it's that time I was so excited about, to listen in for that final go, no-go poll as we move through the final steps before launch and we inch towards terminal count. Let's listen.
T-minus 359.
TCS active.
AFSA saving timer started.
AFSS saving timer started.
News for you. We are in terminal count. They did the final go, no-go poll. New Glenn is ready to launch, and we've transitioned into that terminal count. Now, from here on out, you'll be hearing from our flight ops, Patrick Moore.
And from here, the vehicle is also running fully autonomously on software. So our engineers are hands off. They've got their eyes on their screens, but the rocket is in control of itself at the moment.
Yeah, right now they're continuing to condition the propellants on the second stage using chilled helium. You can tell the rocket is nice and cool. And this will continue for another minute or so and helps prep the liquid oxygen and liquid nitrogen that powers the BE-3Us.
Oh, liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. Sorry, that is for the upper stage.
That's right.
And then also on the first stage, we've got. Oh, hold on a second. There's Kent. Hello, Kent. They're ready for a rocket launch here at 2 minutes. 2 minutes to go to launch. One interesting thing to watch here, a couple of things. One is that the 7 engines start in a stagger start. So we've got 3 of the engines that'll start, and then the other 4 engines that start just a second later. We want to make sure that we don't jostle the rocket or jostle the infrastructure too much. The other thing, the thing that you will visibly be able to see that we are go is when we start that big water. You see the big water tower on your left?
That's right.
We are going to flood the base of the launch pad with the water. It helps dampen the vibrations and the heat because, again, we want to make sure that we protect the launch pad, but also the rocket itself here.
And a huge shout out, of course, to Van Horn, to Kent, to Huntsville, Alabama, and our friends here at Rocket Park. We are now, I have gotten the notification, we are on internal power. This is so exciting, Ariane. This is the moment. So that means we've transitioned from ground power to the vehicle's own internal power. We're getting really close here. T-minus 1 minute.
T-minus 60 seconds. Range green. AFSS flight enabled.
Hydraulics are started up on the forward and aft.
Right.
You might start to see the engines gimbal a bit here. They're going to move back and forth, make sure they are nice and clear. And we're going to wait here for the big water. Let's turn it back over to mission control. Let's light this candle. Go, New Glenn.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Tell me the odds.
Can't wait to see this booster back on Earth.
GS1 hydraulics internal. GS1 at flight level. GS2 at flight level. Hold.
All right, as we've seen here, our team has decided to go into a hold at T-minus 20 seconds. Let's wait to learn just a little bit more here.
Auto safing complete.
Thank you again, everybody. If you're just joining us, we are awaiting here NG-2, the second mission of New Glenn. We're at T-minus 20 seconds. Our team has decided to enter a hold here. We've said it on other webcasts before. We spend years designing this rocket, months building it, months designing the missions. If we need a couple of minutes to make sure that the rocket is ready, that our team is ready, that everything on the range is ready.
That's right.
Then we will take that time.
At this moment in time, I do have a statement that says that terminal count aboard the team is currently investigating. Right now, you've got to look inside of GS2. You can see our twin satellites. I believe that's ESCAPADE, correct?
That is ESCAPADE. They're ready for its launch to space, to Mars. It's going to have to wait just a couple more minutes here, obviously. There you see the base of the rocket, the 7 BE-4 engines.
All right, if you're just joining us, this is NG-2. We are at T-minus 20 seconds. We are currently in a hold because we had a terminal count abort. Our team, like I said, is currently investigating. So while everything is getting sorted out, we're going to toss it back over to NG-2 on the pad and give you more information as it becomes available to us. Welcome back, everyone. You are currently watching the webcast for NG-2. Right now, our team is investigating, and we are expecting them to reset the clock. But in this moment, since we have a little bit of time, Ariane, I would like to take our focus and talk a little bit more about ESCAPADE and how it's going to help scientists learn more about the atmosphere on Mars.
Our friends over at NASA put together this great explainer on the importance of ESCAPADE. Let's take a look.
Mars, once a warm, watery world with a thick atmosphere. Now, a cold, arid landscape with its atmosphere thinned out. What caused this transformation? And how could this environment affect future Mars explorers? NASA's new ESCAPADE mission aims to find out. The Escape and Plasma Acceleration and Dynamics Explorers mission will help us understand Mars's climate history using 2 spacecraft in orbit for the first time.
ESCAPADE gives us what you might call a stereo perspective, 2 different vantage points simultaneously. This will allow us to really make measurements we've never made before.
The mission is studying the planet's real-time response to the solar wind, a relentless flow of particles from the sun that have stripped away the Martian atmosphere. ESCAPADE's twin spacecraft fly in 2 different formations to see how Mars responds to the solar wind in both time and space. The first formation allows ESCAPADE to observe rapid changes in the Martian atmosphere caused by sudden variations in the solar wind.
When we have 2 spacecraft crossing those regions in quick succession, we can monitor how those regions vary on timescales as short as 2 minutes up to 30 minutes.
In the second formation, ESCAPADE will study both the solar wind and the upper atmosphere of Mars simultaneously for the very first time.
We'll have 1 spacecraft in the solar wind so we can measure what's coming in, and then 1 spacecraft closer to Mars. This will help us understand the cause and effect of what's happening when space weather comes to Mars.
ESCAPADE will also help us prepare to send human explorers to the Red Planet. For example, ESCAPADE will give scientists more details about Mars's upper atmosphere that future astronauts will use to send radio and navigation signals around the planet. ESCAPADE's work could also help keep future Mars explorers safe.
The atmospheres can provide a shield that protect humans and other assets on the surface from things like solar radiation or intergalactic radiation. So it's important for us to understand how the atmosphere is changing.
NASA's heliophysics fleet is looking at the sun's influence. And with ESCAPADE, we'll now have multi-point measurements at Mars, which will help us have a more comprehensive picture of what's happening throughout the solar system.
Yeah, just fascinating what ESCAPADE, what these 2 satellites are going to figure out. And ironically, wouldn't it have been so cool to have these 2 satellites up there right now? Earlier this week, obviously, we had a couple of solar, some solar flares.
That's right.
That came off of the sun, what we call coronal mass ejections, and it has just, we had to play it extra safe for our customers because it can, essentially, if you don't do it right, it can fry the electronics on the satellites, right? So if we had launched, and we were prepared to launch, if we had launched, but then put the satellites up there and then it can't deploy solar arrays, the computers don't turn on, you can't just go up there and pick up the satellite and repair them. Like, that's why those 2 beautiful satellites called Blue and Gold,
NG-2,
after the UC Berkeley colors. So that is why we decided to take a little bit of time. But as I said, can you imagine what these 2 satellites would have been able to observe if they were already in, the Martian orbit? But for the future, they're going to be up there and doing, taking plenty of data in to be able to do analyses, of course, for our friends at NASA and all of us that are helping build future missions to go to Mars, both for robotics, satellites, but also, fingers crossed, one day for humans.
That's right, Ariane. So if you're just joining us right now, you are looking at New Glenn NG-2 out there on the pad. Let's take a moment, toss it back over to the rocket while our team is investigating an issue. All right, welcome back, everyone. You are looking at NG-2 out there on the pad. You might have noticed we have reset the clock at L-minus 27 minutes and about 15 seconds to go. We are recycling and resetting the clock with a new T0 of 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, while we have a little bit of time and you see New Glenn out on the pad in all of the New Glenn glory, that rocket is, we have to talk about what is sitting in GS2, and that is ESCAPADE. Now, I actually had the opportunity and the honor to catch up with Dr. Joe Westlake to talk about solar weather effects and how that can affect satellites and what we can expect from the deployment of ESCAPADE. Dr. Joe Westlake, heliophysicist at NASA. We are so honored to have you here with us in the studio. First off, let's talk about heliophysics.
Yeah, so really excited to be here, really excited to see the ESCAPADE launch go up, really jazzed. And heliophysics, right? So heliophysics is an interesting word. It's fascinating because, you know, one, it doesn't exist in the dictionary yet, which is really an interesting thing. We hit our slang era in heliophysics. Merriam-Webster actually just picked it up. But heliophysics is like the science of the sun and everything that it touches. So when we think about ESCAPADE, folks would say, well, like, what does heliophysics have to do with some Mars mission? Why do we care about what the sun does to Mars? Well, you know, ESCAPADE is a space weather mission. We're going out to ensure and protect the space weather effects on Mars, on our astronauts, on our spacecraft that are there at Mars. And as we saw over the last couple of days, space weather is kind of a big deal,
It certainly is. Can you kind of talk about how space weather affected our launch?
Yeah, so hopefully folks over the last couple of days got to see some really pretty, like, light...
the Aurora Borealis, as they call it.
Just incredible, right?
Stunning.
You know, we saw across the U.S., even down here at the Florida at the Space Coast.
Space Coast, yeah.
Right, we saw red aurora sat over top of our rocket. And that's really cool, like, that's a pretty light show. But what that really means is that the magnetosphere is kind of angry, right? It's got a lot of energetic particles that have come in from the sun, right? A coronal mass ejection came in, multiple coronal mass ejections came in from the sun, and they pushed into our magnetosphere, creating, you know, space radiation that can cause issues for our spacecraft, which, of course, you know, in the early days of any mission, they're a little bit fragile, right? It's sort of early days. We want to get the solar arrays deployed. We want to get the mission up and ready to go and safely out to Mars. And those early activities are really critical for us.
Certainly. So for people who don't know, tell me a little bit more about the heliophysics tied in to ESCAPADE.
Yeah, so, you know, when we go out to Mars, right, we're looking at how space weather, how the solar wind, how these coronal mass ejections and flares impact the Martian atmosphere, how they impact Mars as a system, how they impact and change how, you know, atmospheric escape happens at Mars.
Because Mars doesn't have the same atmosphere that we do here on Earth, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's always been a big question, right? When I look at the difference between our beautiful planet here on Earth and the water and the oceans and other things, why is Mars so different, right? There's a great question that relates to how Mars's atmosphere has escaped over the years, over the decades, over the millennia. And ESCAPADE's actually going to deliver to us a better understanding of whether the atmospheric escape changes in time or changes in space, right? And so getting that feeling and getting that understanding will let us figure out how Mars has changed over its history and be able to conserve and understand how that applies to us here at Earth.
And for the first time, we have a lot of firsts, actually. So we have 2 satellites that are deploying that are going to give us information. And on top of that, this is the first time we are deploying not during the critical Mars window. We're actually going to go into kind of this, like, lollygagging phase just for a little bit until we hit that window. Can you kind of explain that?
So isn't that amazing? Like, usually when you think about the planets aligning, right? I mean, the greatest planet alignment was when we sent the Voyagers out in the 70s, right? All the planets have aligned. We've gone and done the grand voyage, right? But as you go to Mars, every 2 years a window opens up where you can make the most efficient trip to Mars. And all that means is that Earth and Mars are in the right spot of the trajectory or the right spot of their travel every year to where you can actually get from one to the other. So once every 2 years, we line up and we make this, you know, it's like, how many Mars missions can we get off the ground in that one
In that
window?
little window, yeah.
But one of the great things, one of the innovations that we're doing here with ESCAPADE today is we're actually going to send it outside of that window. We're going to send it outside of that window because we can put it into a very benign, safe parking orbit and let it sort of hang out, loiter, hang out near us here at Earth. So we can make some measurements about the space weather here around Earth, and we can prep for those spacecraft to then, with their own propulsion, get themselves out to Mars when that window opens. We always talk about how, you know, spacecraft are, frankly, the safest out in space, right? There aren't earthquakes or hurricanes or other things to worry about when they're out in space. And plus, we always love to have amazing data that come down from our spacecraft, almost no matter where they are.
Certainly. And what's interesting is we're sitting here in 2025, but this mission is really going to take, I mean, it's 5 years when you also count all the way to when we're going to get the data that starts to come back, right? So 2025, around 2027 is when ESCAPADE will actually be at Mars, and then it starts kind of being reoriented. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, we have a couple of different orbit scenarios with ESCAPADE because we have different questions, right? So one of the questions is, I want to be able to follow, have a leading following orientation of the two spacecraft, and I want to see how things are changing in time by doing that. But then we're also going to spread them out in longitude, so like east-west. And we're going to try and fly them somewhat side by side. But then we're going to ask questions that are like, okay, what's the inside the Martian atmosphere versus the outside? And there's a lot of dynamics and other things that we can do with these, you know, really two very capable spacecraft that we're sending out to Mars.
And another cool thing about your job is you get to work with Dr. Nikki Fox. I was able to grab her into our webcast the other day.
Yes.
But today's a special day for her, right?
Yeah, it's a really special day. So, you know, when we talk about having rockets and lighting candles and other things, you know, this is her birthday. So we get to light a candle today. I think it's going to be really amazing to be able to,
Quite the birthday candle.
Obviously, we're not going to blow it out until we get ESCAPADE up and moving, but quite the candle, and it's amazing.
Well, then let's send it off to Dr. Nikki Fox. Happy birthday, Dr. Fox, and go NG-2.
Yeah, excellent. Go New Glenn, go ESCAPADE, and we're just so jazzed to be here.
And we're so grateful to have you as a customer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Heliophysicist, who knew? Not in the dictionary, and he gave us so much good information, of course, on why we're affected by essentially that solar weather. So right now, you are looking at New Glenn on the pad as we await the launch of NG-2, L- about 20 minutes. But let's take it back over to our very own Eddie Seifert, who is with employees right here at Rocket Park at the best spot to watch New Glenn take to the skies. Eddie, how are things over there?
Hey Tabitha, hey Ariane, we are on top of the world. That's certainly what it feels like on this momentous occasion. And you know, I changed up the view a little bit. Behind me, you see Lunar Plant 1. That's our newest building at Rocket Park. Now, Rocket Park sits on 250 acres of what used to be an orange grove. That was pre-2016. Since 2016, we've added 2.5 million square feet of production space. And our newest building, it's building the lunar landers that are gonna help NASA and help Blue Origin return to the moon, this time to stay.
And Eddie, I think we talked about this a little bit on our last webcast. That building behind you is massive. It's hard to tell because you're elevated yourself, but maybe you can talk a little bit to the scale of that building, as well as its location relative to other facilities here at Rocket Park.
That's right, Ariane, if you're ever driving on Space Commerce Way, you'll see it. You'll see just how massive it is, right? If I'm standing on top of the world and that building's even taller, it's tall enough to house the 16-meter tall lunar lander, which is twice as big as the Mark 101 Pathfinder that we're gonna launch to the moon later this year. When that lunar lander lands on the moon, it will be the largest lunar lander to have ever landed, and we're just going to get bigger from there. So we're very excited about Mark 1 later this year or early next year, and then Mark 2 to return humans to the moon, this time to stay. And you mentioned the co-location. So the fact that we can be co-located with New Glenn means that we can encapsulate that very large lander in the very large New Glenn fairing here on site, and then we can drive it out to our integration facility to essentially place it on top of the New Glenn vehicle, much like we have ESCAPADE today.
Eddie, thank you so much. Always so great to talk to Eddie because he can talk at hours and at length about anything to do with engines, with lunar, and of course, he's our hype man out there with everyone here at Rocket Park. Thank you again. If you didn't notice, on his shirt actually are little lunar landers as well. But right now, we're going to toss it over to New Glenn on the pad as we await the launch of NG-2. And in about 30 seconds here, we're going to hear another go pulse. So let's go ahead and listen in. Welcome back, everyone. You are currently watching NG-2. Now, we are awaiting the go poll for terminal count. Right now, we're in a hold and we're getting more information, but do stay with us. Keep your eyes on that screen because New Glenn is out on the pad and looking absolutely fantastic. All right, everyone, you have your eyes on New Glenn. This is NG-2. We're at L-minus 18 minutes and about 40 seconds. Now, coming up at the 17-minute mark, we will have that poll for terminal count. But, Ariane, right now, I want to talk about how incredible this rocket is, how unique this rocket is. Can you kind of walk through for our viewers what makes this vehicle so unique?
Sure. It's a two-stage vehicle. If you were able to tune in on Sunday, you saw a little bit of this explanation. But basically, when you talk about a two-stage vehicle, all that means for those of you that are not rocket nerds like us is that we're just stacking a rocket on top of a rocket. GS1, Glenn Stage 1, is the one on the bottom. It pushes Glenn Stage 2, the rocket on the top. And then on top of Glenn Stage 2, GS2, you see that shroud in there. That's the payload fairing. In the payload fairing today are payloads, NASA's ESCAPADE, the 2 satellites. But what makes this rocket so special? We're going to land the first stage. The first stage is reusable. And what's cool about this first stage in particular is, we've had our New Shepard program, our suborbital program. We've learned so much from that rocket program. And there's actually some interesting similarities between the two, but also some differences. Up here, you see that we've put we call them now the forward fins at the top. Those help with the directional capability. New Shepard also has those. But this one, we also have the strakes. We want to be able to essentially fly this rocket back home and relight the engines. So it's a beautiful rocket. I cannot see it do its thing this first time in just a couple of minutes here.
I know, and at L minus 17 minutes, let's listen in for that go poll for terminal count. All right, guys, we have New Glenn on the pad, and the reason I have my computer in front of me is so I can tell you these great things. So we are go for terminal count. At L minus 15 minutes and 30 seconds, you are watching NG-2, New Glenn on the pad, the booster so appropriately named Never Tell Me the Odds, Ariane, and a great day to fly.
A beautiful day to fly. Looks a lot better than it did on Sunday. We were just constantly fighting the Florida weather down here. It would be sunny, and then it would be rainstorm, lightning, and then it would be sunny again. It was a lot going on. But today is a beautiful, beautiful day to fly. So as you mentioned, we're now at L minus 15 minutes to go from New Glenn's second launch. And Tabitha, you recently had the chance to chat with our CEO, Dave Limp, about NG-2, today's mission, and what this mission means for science and for our company.
Yeah, you can see Kent right there on your screen. Hey, guys, giving you lots of love right here from the desk. Also thinking about our guys in Huntsville, Alabama, Van Horn, Texas, and of course, right here in Rocket Park. Now, when I got to talk to Dave, not only did he share his message to the more than 10,000 employees here at Blue Origin, some of which you see on your screen, but also how important NG-2 is to focus on for our customers. This is a really big moment for Blue Origin. Can you tell me how NG-2 compares to NG-1?
Yeah, I think NG-1 was obviously our first mission. There was lots to learn, and we did learn a lot, and unbelievably successful in that we made our goal, which was to get to orbit. This time we're going to be a little bit more ambitious, and we want to not only get to orbit, but we have our first paying customer this time with ESCAPADE and get them off to Mars. That's the first part of our goal, and then the second part of the goal is to land the booster out on Jacklyn. And if we don't, we have more over here in the factory that we're building, but we're going to give it our best shot.
Never Tell Me the Odds is pretty fitting for this booster. We are taking our second attempt at landing it for the first time. How are you going to feel if we land it?
Well, I certainly will not channel my inner C-3PO. I will be very ecstatic. I'll be on pins and needles up to that point, but it would be a huge achievement for the team and for Blue. I think that we have a good chance, but if we don't, like I said, we can build more, but I will be over the moon if it happens.
Now, New Glenn is obviously just one of the many systems we have here, right? We have New Shepard, we have Lunar, we have In-Space Systems. How are all of those organizations really working together to further our ultimate goals?
Yeah, I think each component of what we do has a piece of trying to get millions of people to work and live in space, and they all have their individual. But as it relates to this particular mission, a huge amount of people have put work into it. Obviously, our engines team in building both the engines for the booster, the BE-4s, and the BE-3Us for the upper stage. We also have a huge amount of work by the obviously New Glenn team building this vehicle, but also New Shepard has been a pathfinder. So all our avionics folks fly on New Shepard first so that we can get a sense of what's going on there and get a sense what it's like to have flight-ready hardware. And so it takes a whole team, and it's a very big cross-functional effort across Blue.
You know, we have more than 10,000 employees here that are very excited about this moment. I'm one of them. What is your message to those who are going to be watching our webcast and be watching NG-2 take to the skies?
Well, I think everybody will be a little bit on pins and needles, I'm sure. But I would say that this is a culmination of a lot of work from a lot of teams. It's not the end point of our journey. Obviously, we have a lot more rockets to make and a lot more customers to make happy as we move forward. But to the extent we're successful here, I hope everybody at Team Blue takes a pause, smiles a bit, celebrates, because it'll be a great achievement for us. And we'll take that deep breath, we'll sort of embrace the moment and then move on, because we have a lot of customers waiting for us to succeed. And there's nothing that makes you happier in business and in your life when you see the smile on customers' faces.
Did you ever think that you would be doing something like this in your career when you're watching your rockets launch? No?
No, not in a million years. I was very happy making Fire TVs and Echoes, but it is a boyhood dream, and so to be able to have it, I kind of pinch myself every day and just amazed that I get to wake up and help this and lead this amazing team of people build incredible technology like New Glenn.
I mean, and in reference to that, one of the first things they ask you when you come onto Blue Origin is, what is your first memory of space? What is your first memory of space?
Yeah, I have a lot of pictures. It turned out my third, fourth, and fifth birthday, I have these old Polaroids of the cake, and they all have rockets on it. I was enamored with rockets as a kid, and never took the path where I thought I'd be running a rocket or a rocket company. But it turns out that it was very early in my life that I had a lot of love for it.
And we're so grateful to have you here at the helm. Dave, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Obviously, so great to get to talk to Dave, especially when we're kind of on the edge of this historic moment. But like he said, no matter what happens today, we have lots of hardware behind us already in the works. And it's a great day for Blue Origin. And we're so proud of everyone who's been a part of Team Blue up until this point.
Absolutely. And you can actually see the difference even between now, today and Sunday. They're getting ready to work on, looks like this one is going to be the next forward. We've got another forward. We've got another aft over here. So we've got a lot of rockets that are coming down the line. But we're just feeling pretty good about, cautiously optimistic. We know how difficult this is. I'm going to lose my mind if we land this booster today.
Me too.
But as we mentioned, we've got other hardware coming down the line.
Yeah, and landing the booster, it's no easy undertaking. Now, our team, including myself, recently had the opportunity to spend a day at sea with our Jacklyn crew and learn more about the operation of landing and securing the booster. A live look at Jacklyn right there. Now, this is an operation and a moment that will change the course of Blue Origin history. Check it out.
The Jacklyn is that landing platform vessel where New Glenn will come down, land, and we secure it and bring it back in.
She's 380 foot long, 150 foot wide, and she's a self-propelled vessel. We are the recovery side of the operation. This is where GS-1 is going to land, and actually that feather is a center point.
We have to leave 4 days before launch. We check all our equipment, and we ensure that everything is working, everything is fully functional. We transit for 300 to 400 miles, depending on how far the landing location is. And once we get there, dynamic positioning allows the thrusters on board here will hold this in position within a range of about 10 feet.
We'll have a couple small changes of Jacklyn's position. They're going to feed us new coordinates, right? So we might move 500 yards this direction, a little that way, but we're generally in the area. And right up to like 45 minutes or an hour before, that's our final position.
When the booster lands, the ROV will come out. Once it's mated with the booster effectively, we'll start pumping high-pressure nitrogen into the booster, which will allow the detanking process to continue to make the booster inert and safe for us to operate around.
These are the transit stands. These are what we actually use to secure GS-1 to the deck. Each one of these units is individually controlled. We'll have 6 different operators operating them out under the vehicle, and then we're able to lock out the stands, which basically rigidizes GS-1 to the LPV deck and allows us to bring it home.
The complexity of what we do out here is pretty important because we operate in such an isolated environment. We're hundreds of miles offshore. We're relying on satellite communication.
The one thing about working on the ocean and in the elements, we fight it. It never wants to work with you. The best you can do is just get along with it. I hope people understand how important reusability is to this program. Us being out here and allowing us to retrieve these vehicles and bring back and reuse them, we reduce the cost, we reduce pollution.
My favorite part of being Team Blue is how everybody works together as a very cohesive group. This is really, really rewarding just to kind of see everyone marching together towards one successful landing operation.
And you've got a live look right there of Jacklyn in all her glory. And Ariane, I have to tell you, what was so great about going out with that team is, of course, they go out for days, sometimes weeks, sometimes a multitude of weeks at a time, and they're eating, sleeping, playing cards together, but also they're going through the operations. And for someone who doesn't know, can you explain, Ariane, why it's so difficult to bring a first stage back to Earth?
Well, let me just start with the basics. You have a 200-foot tall tower that has just been 120 kilometers up, and we're trying to hit a 150-foot by about 400-foot boat out there, and then the landing pad, as you see, is even smaller than that. Fun fact, the landing pad that you see there, the circle, is the same diameter as the landing pad for New Shepard. So to give you a sense, that's hard. So you've got this huge 200-foot tall tower that's coming in. We're going to slow it down with first a reentry burn. Then we're going to do another burn to slow it down, and then we're just with 3 engines. Then shut it down to just 1 engine.
That's right.
And it will. We do have throttling capability on the first stage, and it'll come in for a nice soft landing. Because if you think about it, it was full of fuel on the way up. When it comes down, it's essentially an empty fuel tank. So while it is heavy and very tall here,
There's those engines right
the
there.
7 BE4 engines, and the center engine is the one that's going to be doing all the hard work as it comes in just in the last seconds there. And so you don't need as much power. We can pull back on the power for a nice soft landing. And when we do, it will be an extraordinary day. But we've talked about it. This is just the beginning.
It really is.
We will bring this rocket back, we'll refurbish it, we'll examine it. We've got all sorts of thoughts on what we're going to need to do to refurbish the vehicle. But our whole game plan, launch, land, repeat, is to be able to flip this rocket around and fly it again very shortly here. I should say with New Shepard, we landed the first time in November of 2015.
And here we are 10 years later.
And here we are, well, 10 years later, yeah, but it only took us about 2 months to flip around the first rocket that had ever gone to space and back. So we've got kind of same time scales that we're thinking here. It's not going to, we want to go fast on this.
And if you're taking a look at your screen, you see New Glenn on the pad, and on the upper right-hand corner, you see L minus 4 minutes and about 6 seconds. That's going to change to a T minus any moment, and that is really when the vehicle itself is starting to run on its own. We're going to start being able to hear our mission ops, Patrick Moore.
AFSS timer enabled.
Terminal count system is active. From here on out, the vehicle is running fully autonomously on software.
Engaged. T minus 330. Rapid retract armed. Magic charge initiated.
How exciting here. We're ticking down in 3 minutes. We're going to launch this vehicle to space. We're going to put 2 satellites on their way to Mars, and we're going to try to land that booster for the first time. So exciting, and a big props to our launch control team that has managed to do a recycle on this vehicle. We want to fly today, Tabitha.
Oh, there are the cheers. Yes, the energy is palpable. Our launch director, Megan Lewis, she's in the control room now. I know this is an exciting moment from her. There we have employees from
Magic
all
charge
across
complete.
the United States. This is Huntsville, Alabama. Big shout out to our
T-minus
teams
2:30.
there. And of course,
GS1 pre-press
HQ,
start.
Kent Washington, we
Kent
see you.
Washington.
All right, rocket going through its last
GS2
motions
pre-press
here,
start.
making sure the tanks are pressurized to their proper flight levels.
That's right.
A warm day in Florida, but that rocket is super cold
Nice
with
and
its chilled
cool.
in
T-minus 2
propellants. T-minus 2
They
minutes to
emphasize
go.
capacity charge.
LNG on the first stage, liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen on the second stage. New Glenn looking beautiful. And there you go.
Beachgoers with a great view.
What makes this place so special down here on the Space Coast? A day on the beach, but you can sit there
T-minus
because our pad
130.
is so far south. A spectacular
Power
view
internal.
for everybody here in Cocoa Beach.
Now we've transitioned from ground power to the vehicle's own internal power. I mean, we are getting close. Aria, hold my hand. I'm getting really excited. There are those BE4s, 7 of them, ready to take New Glenn.
3.85 million pounds of thrust
T-minus
combined
60 seconds.
in just 60
Range
seconds
green.
here, as
AFSS
mentioned
flight
before.
enabled.
We will light 4 of the engines, then 3 of the engines, just about a second or 2 off for a staggered start. You'll see the big water deluge, and that's when you know that it's game on.
I love hearing all those sounds.
You hear the power up.
You certainly do.
And with that,
you'll see that water any second now.
Let's
T-minus
turn it
30
over to
seconds.
launch control. Let's go, New Glenn.
GS1 hydraulics internal.
Never tell me
GS1
the
at flight
odds.
level. GS2 at flight level. Autopilot enabled. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
3, 2, 1. Lift up detected. Close motion. New Glenn has cleared the towers.
Pushing 7 good engines. 30 seconds into flight. Engine operating parameters continue with good at full thrust. Body weight response to nominal. 40 seconds in. End of low stretch now level. 50 seconds into flight. Continue to see good engine operating parameters. All set for
A clean burn. We're coming up here on max Q, maximum
Now passing 1
dynamic
minute
pressure.
into
This
flight.
is the hardest point on the vehicle when it comes to
Body
the
weight response
pressures and the
continue to look good during
speed.
ascent.
We want to see
Engine
this
operating
rocket
parameters
punch
continue to look
through
good.
that max Q.
Seeing
Let's
good
stand
TDC
by.
control, good MR control. 1 minute, 15 seconds in. Now passing Mach 1, New Glenn is now supersonic.
Supersonic!
And we can hear the
1 minute, 30
roar here on
seconds.
rocket bars.
Engine operating parameters continue to look good at full thrust. Max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. 1 minute, 45 seconds in. All 7 V4 engines continue to look good. Body rate's nominal. Seeing good control on MR and TDC. Acceleration profile nominal. Now passing 2 minutes into flight.
BE4s, unreal.
One minute remaining in boost phase.
All right, 1 minute remaining in boost split phase. You heard our team say then we'll hit MECO, main engine cutoff. That's going to lead to a sequence of events. We will separate the first stage from the second, and that's when the first stage is going to begin its journey back home. We're going to see if we can land the booster separately. Of course, we will get the second stage off and going with the NASA ESCAPADE satellites on board on their way to Mars.
Trajectory continues to look good, seeing good data quality coming down from the vehicle. Body rate response
Great to hear that good data quality.
All 7 engines continue
Looking
to look
nominal.
good.
Next up, MECO, which is main engine cutoff. The cheers are real. You can hear them all the way in here.
And we have MECO.
And we have MECO.
And we have good stage set.
We have good stage separation.
And we have ignition on stage 2. Both engine parameters look good.
Ignition.
Oh, you see the 2 rockets there.
Body rate stamping out nicely. Both B3U engines look good at the high thrust set point. Body rate responses look good. 3 minutes, 43 seconds into flight.
Look at that view.
We have good indication of payload fairing jettison. Both B3U engines continue to look good. Body rate response is nominal. Seeing good data coming down from both stages.
Great data. We're 4 minutes into NG-2.
And you saw the spectacular view from down from our GS2.
Continue to look good. This is a 9.5 minute burn for GS2. 4 minutes, 25 seconds into flight.
Wow. All right, at 9 minutes is when we're expecting the first stage to touch down on Jacklyn.
Approximately 2 minutes remaining in the GS1 coast.
Thank you again, everybody, for joining us for NG-2. So far, a nominal mission.
GS2 is now 320 kilometers downrange, traveling at 2.8 kilometers per second. Trajectory continues to look good on both stages.
Clean separation, clean fairing
right down the middle of the range
jettison.
track. Engine operating parameters on GS2 look good.
It sounds like our GS2 is having a beautiful ride. The NASA ESCAPADE satellites are exposed to space right now. And we've got GS1 coming down for landing
GS2 body
at
rate's
T
nominal.
plus 9 minutes.
One minute remaining in the GS1 coast. Continue to see good data coming down from both GS1 and GS2. Body rates on both stages look good. The E3U engines look good.
Everything looking good, looking nominal.
Seeing good TVC
And
and MR
Ariane, this
control
moment
on
coming up
GS2.
is an important one.
Trajectory
It is.
continues to look good.
We're going to relight the BE4 engines for the reentry
Body rates
burn.
snowing out on GS1. The exo turn is complete.
There you go. It's about 300,000 feet, less than 100
6 minutes,
kilometers
30
up there,
seconds into
coming
flight.
in for a landing on the Jacklyn, 375 miles offshore, waiting for the first time to land
And
Blue
standing by for
Origin's
GS1
new blend
ignition
booster
shortly.
on the Jacklyn.
Continue to see body rates on GS1.
That looks great. We have our booster reentry burn. All 3 engines.
No matter what happens next, we have had a good day. This is further than we made it on NG-1.
That's right.
see indication of engine ignition on GS1. Continue to see good data from GS1.
About a minute and a
GS2
half
engine parameters look good.
is when we would see.
Confirm engine cutoff.
Never
on
tell me
GS1.
the odds. Return to Earth.
You
7
see it in
minutes,
kind of
40 seconds into
horizontal
flight.
position. We've got the strakes on the base of the booster, which give it lift. So we can basically fly this booster. Of course, we're using the forward fins as well, plus some of our reaction control system to, as well as the gimbling
GS1
on the
now
beating
passing
forward
30% max
engines
Q.
to
Passing
turn
8 minutes
the rocket
into flight.
accordingly. On here, it starts to tilt
GS1
down.
now halfway
1
in its
minute to
planned
go.
burn. GS1 system,
Less than
GS2 systems
40,000
continue to look good. GS2 throttle down complete. Responses look good. 8 minutes, 20 seconds in flight. Turning back to landing burn ignition. And we have landing burn ignition. See 3 good engines.
We've got our booster landing burn.
Engine control looks good.
Of course those clouds are there.
8 minutes, 43 seconds in flight. Legs deployed. Now
A
down to
great
engine
shot
burn.
from our booster.
Standing by for touchdown. Standing by for touchdown. Touchdown confirmed. GS2 continuing to work. Burn system looks good. Welcome back to the time. GS2 systems continue to operate well as it's continuing to its planned burn. Right down the middle of the range track. 10 minutes, 15 seconds.
Congratulations, Team Blue. You did it.
Now passing 10 minutes, 40 seconds into flight. GS2 trajectory continues to look good and body rate's phenomenal. Tank pressures look good. Engine operating parameters look good. GS2 is now 1,600 kilometers downrange, traveling at 5.9 kilometers per second.
On the right-hand side, GS2. On the left-hand side, you have our booster, our
Less
new
than
Blink
2 minutes
booster.
now remaining to
Never
Chico.
tell me the odds. Right there on the Jacklyn in the middle of that feather. Absolutely incredible. Congratulations, guys.
A landed orbital rocket. What an incredible
What a day.
for Blue Origin, for the space industry.
GS2 systems continue to look good through its burn.
I'm speechless, which is rare for me.
Approximately 1 minute remaining in the burn.
GS2 continues.
Of course, on a nominal path.
On a nominal path. I need a second to catch my breath.
GS2 body rates remain stable.
I think I heard my hand banging on the table too much. This is
Control on
incredible.
TBC and MR. Tank pressures are nominal. Throttle pressures are stable.
Oh, I'm getting word they're going to replay the landing. That's something so good, you got to watch it twice. Give it back to us.
12 minutes, 30 seconds in the flight.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Standing by for Chico 1 shortly.
Landing
Perfect.
of the first stage of New Glenn with the one central BE4. Let's wait here for our second stage. It's going to cut off its engine. It's done its first burn.
And Chico, GS2 engine cutoff.
Chico 1.
Yeah.
Chico 1 is confirmed. GS2 right down the track.
Damping out nicely.
Currently in the coast
We
phase.
have one for two so far on our two objectives for our second mission of New Glenn. We have landed the booster for the first time ever. And next up, in about 20 minutes here, we are going to separate the blue and gold satellites of NASA's ESCAPADE mission. Of course, the most important thing of any launch is making sure you get the payloads where they need to go.
And there's our team in Ken. Hey, guys. That's right. Oh, I see the celebration.
Huntsville, thank you. Thank you for those beautiful engines.
GS2 systems are operating nominally as the vehicle is in its first
We
coast.
love you too, Huntsville.
I see that place is wall to wall. That just shows you the passion and the dedication of every single person that works here at Blue Origin. And Eddie, you're with our friends here at Rocket Park.
Hey,
Give it to us. What's going on?
Next
At this time in flight, GS2 is now 3,020 kilometers
That's what
downrange,
everybody's saying back here.
7.9
Guys,
kilometers
what
per
a
second.
day, what a momentous occasion, an incredible opportunity to witness live.
Eddie, I'm going to be honest with you. It's so loud around you. They're chanting so loud, and rightfully so. I'm having a hard time hearing you. But you got to tell me, what is this moment like for you, Eddie? You've been here a long time. You've seen the New Shepard booster land for the first time, and now you're watching New Glenn.
10 minutes remaining in the coast.
Yeah, this one was way better. Just incredible to watch. We're just here, launch, land, repeat. It starts today.
Launch, land, repeat. I love it, Eddie. And I believe we also have some video, of course, of the celebrations happening all throughout Rocket Park, in every corner of what is going on in this building. Here's a moment. And of course, that's mission control, launch control. Where is it? You know you're going to see it when they do it. There it is.
Oh, in the middle there you see Jeff Bezos, Jordan Charles, the head of our New Glenn program, Dave Limp.
Celebrations all around. And there you have it. Let's show it to you one more time.
15 minutes
Our New Glenn booster
Continuing to
out
see
on
good
the
data coming down
Jacklyn.
from GS2.
Oh,
body
I
rate.
can't wait till she comes home.
I have never seen anything more beautiful.
Good.
Not
Tank
since the
pressure
first
control.
landing of
Bottle
New
pressures look
Shepard
good.
in November of 2015. My
phenomenal.
goodness, we are almost
10 years
almost
later.
exactly 10 years apart to land our booster. Just incredible. And now we're watching here. We've got a map here on the left. That's our stage one that, of course, made this beautiful landing on the Jacklyn, 375 miles off the coast. And what you're seeing there in the center of your screen, GS2 with NASA's ESCAPADE satellites on board. We're waiting. We have about another 16, 17 minutes until we deploy the two satellites.
That's right.
First the blue, then 30 seconds later, the gold to give them some space. And then about 5 minutes after that, we also have what we call a hosted payload on board, a Viasat radio tech demonstrator on board that we will also power on. But right now, All 3 payloads are exposed to space and are on a beautiful flight, a completely nominal flight.
That's right.
So far
Now passing
on its
17
way
minutes, 15
to
seconds into flight.
space and
GS2
waiting
is
for deployment
continuing through
here.
its coast.
And at
this point,
17 minutes
GS2 is
into
at
flight,
its,
landing the booster, of
0%
course, was a
settling thrust.
historic moment for us here at Blue
Settling, set
Origin.
point.
But the show isn't over.
Continue to see good data
Still
coming down
tracking,
from
of course,
GS2 during the
deployment
coast.
of ESCAPADE. And
good
here's some of the
control, all
milestones we
systems
want you to be aware
are
of
operating nominally.
over the next 20-ish minutes. All right, at the T+25 minute, the second stage engine will ignite. At T26:44, we're going to have SECO-2, which is that second stage engine cutoff. And then, of course, at the T+33 minute mark, and that's when we finally get to see ESCAPADE deployed. They're going to deploy and separate at about 30 seconds apart. First blue separation and then gold separation. And finally, as you mentioned, Ariane, we will have at about T+38 minutes that Viasat tech demonstration will turn on. But we have got one accomplishment under our belt, and as we await the second one with our mission today, I got the chance to actually catch up with Dr. Shannon Curry. Now, she's a project scientist on ESCAPADE, and she explains how long it took to get to this point with ESCAPADE and what this moment means for their missions.
Approximately 6.5 minutes remaining in the coast.